YouTube. How's everybody doing? Jags to Riches, James Peters. Thank you all so much for your time. And wait a minute. Do we have someone that looks familiar? I don't know. Who is this gentleman? I don't know why it is that the man, the myth, the legendary Bobby B. Smooth has not made an appearance on this desolate channel of mine. Maybe that is why I am not hit this 400 subs yet, but today is that day. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby B. Smooth. Bobby, how are you, sir? Thank you so much.
Feeling good, always doing good. Hopefully you're feeling good. It's crazy because when you told me that I've never been on a channel before, that's actually mind blowing because I thought I would have been on the channel a long time ago. But hey, I'm proud to make my appearance today. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. No, it is kind of mind blowing. The only appearance ever is our first video we ever did together, and that is what started it all. So, obviously, guys, this gentleman, this man needs no introduction. If you're here, you know me, you know this man from Celtics Corner, the founder, the creator, the man. I mean, it's who has put it all together. Why are we here today, guys? Obviously, we have a pregame show tonight on Celtics Corner, 7:45. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby, but please, as always, it's been an incredible turnout. Make sure you're there. So we have topics that we're obviously going to discuss there, really around this Eastern Conference Finals. And obviously this most recent Game 3 where the Celtics lost 109-103. No Jimmy Butler in the second half, and it was just one of those embarrassing type losses. 39-19 quarter in the first, 24 turnovers. And because of the results and because the Celtics were so gassed up going into that game, it seemed like everyone thought it was a foregone conclusion. The series was over. We're now asking a few questions. Is Jason Tatum a superstar has come back up? Are the Boston Celtics really contenders, or are they a year away? But we're going to start, Bobby, with a tweet from the lovely Anna Horford. Now, someone we know very well. We've had Anna on our podcast, Trust the Podcast, multiple times. To date, our most successful episodes are with Anna, so thank you, Anna. But after the Game 3 loss, fair weather fans are gross. Now, me and you talked about that briefly, Bobby, what a fair weather fan is, and, you know, just kind of like they are there with you when you're doing good, and when you're not, they're nowhere to be found. What were your thoughts when Anna tweeted this out and just around this whole fair weather bandwagon, the fan base in general, especially because we're losing right now?
And it's fair to say that. And again, I didn't know what fair weather fan meant, honestly. Jazz had to explain what the term means, and I kind of understand it now. But what I will say is my whole thoughts of, you know what, when things are going well, people are with you. When things aren't going well, people aren't with you. Well, that's kind of the way of life, honestly. That's what family does when your jobs are successful at school, or that's just how life is, to be fair. But for our team's sake, and just the Celtics state, it's confusing to me because I feel like she's going at the fans who are criticizing your team. And Jax, I told you this from day one, and everyone that helps on the channel to either watch or to be on a panel, this channel was really meant, obviously, to educate and entertain on the Celtics Corner, but also that you can be able to criticize and compliment your team, being real. I hate the fake narrative. And again, I don't live in Boston, so I don't get to hear Boston radio, and honestly, I don't listen to the radio. But here in Atlanta, I hear a lot of Hawks talk, and all the Hawks talk is, oh, we're amazing. Oh, we better next year, or this next year, and this next year. And I feel like that's all a lot of teams have in common of it's all positivity, no one's critiquing. And I feel like a lot of people think critiquing is making fun of your team or being too hard on your squad. I saw some people saying Tatum isn't that guy. Okay, I wouldn't go that far. He had a bad game. But to say that everyone on our Celtics are free from criticism, to me, it's very biased, and that's the green teamer that I've never enjoyed.
No, you're absolutely spot on. And it's one of those things like the reactions we get sometimes in the comments, and I mean, I'll deal with it better as professional as it comes, man. You take it in stride because they can be brutal in the comment sections, Bobby. You know how bad it can be. It's like if you say anything about your team, Tatum, Brown, Williams, Horford, Smart could all be benched. They could be playing against the 2001 Lakers, and if you pick those Lakers, boy, they are coming for you in the comments. So, hey, I mean, it is what it is, and I completely agree. It's like it is so fair to criticize your team, especially when you're talking about that performance that they just had. I've
Yeah.
been hearing a big, narrative about the Celtics have only lost 2 quarters in this series, excuse me. If that is the case, then we should be ashamed of ourselves. We should be up 3-0 if we have only lost 2 quarters. And obviously they're referring to game 1 where we lost, it was 39 to 18 or 14 in the third quarter, and then obviously game 3 in that first quarter it was like 39 to 14 or 18. It was something similar. So I don't know what it is about our boy Jason Tatum, Bobby, but game 3 against the Bucks, 10 points in a loss. Game 3 against the Miami Heat, 10 points and a loss. Now, Tatum, this goes back to that whole criticism thing. It seems like Tatum is another one that if you say anything about, they're coming for you. And of course, my man Be Smooth, fearless. Bobby, you would go on to tweet out something. I'm going to say it because nobody else will. Tatum should have stayed on the bench after the injury. He had double the amount of turnovers as made shots. Now, our girl Celtics Rod would end up responding, and you and her would kind of be able to provide both sides of it. But just give me your immediate response after that and Tatum's game 3 performance overall.
So, and again, I don't want to go at any player of faking an injury or embellishing an injury. I don't want to say that. Obviously, it looks like maybe it was a stinger. It looked awful. But again, I think most people watching, whether you're a Celtics fan or not, thought this man was seriously injured. And for him to come back in like 3 minutes, it was very Paul Pierce-esque. It was kind of weird. It gives you that rough taste in your mouth, but I'm going to say it was a stinger. It felt bad in the moment. He left. Okay, it feels pretty good. Now I'm cool to go. Smart, again, literally turned his ankle. That's some LeBron James stuff to literally turn your ankle and be back on the floor in like 2 minutes. That's insanity. So there are guys who are just built differently. Shout out to Marcus Smart, but Jason Tatum's was just weirder. He comes back on the bench. When he's on the bench, it is a 4-point game. Then Jaylen Brown, once Tatum enters the game, Brown hits a 3 to make it a 1-point game with maybe 3 minutes left, maybe 3.5 minutes left. And I'm thinking, here we go. Dear God, just don't let Tatum think he can play iso ball or think he's Magic Johnson. And of course, they hit a beautiful 3 by Max Strus, an amazing clutch shot, goes back up by 4. And what do we see next? Tatum thinks he's Magic Johnson, and these dumb bounce passes between 2 defenders happens, turnover, and from there I knew the game was over. I mean, it was almost like he was scared to shoot, but still took bad shots. He was scared to pass, but still made terrible decisions. And I made the tweet saying, I'm not saying Peyton Pritchard would have won us the game. I'm not saying that. But he would have had better value because he wouldn't turn the ball over. He would have not have done that stupid mistakes that Tatum was doing in that moment in the part of the game. That's my thoughts.
No, I mean, I love that summary. It was brilliant because just to, elaborate and give some more context, we went on a 12-0 run to cut it down to 1 point, as Bobby stated. Brown had 10 of those 12 points. And then, like he said, Strus hits an incredibly difficult clutch 3, and then bam, oh my goodness gracious, bro. Daniel Tice comes in, Robert Williams goes out, and he lights up like Christmas, man. Like I said, PTSD from 2020 bubble year. He hit an incredibly clutch shot as well. But Tatum comes in, and he's immediately, as soon as he comes back in, he's on the floor again, diving again. And when your 2-star and superstar player have 13 total turnovers, Jason Tatum with 6, and not to mention he had 8 in game 1, Jaylen Brown with 7, it is impossible to win. And the fact that you said it, Tatum should have come in, kept his ass on the bench, let the crowd feed into that, because Brown was going insane. And what happens is, as soon as you put Brown in or Tatum in, you take away from Brown, who just scored 10 of the last 12 and brought you back to where you're now down by 1. This team was down by 30 points at a point, Bobby, and they came all the way back in. And as soon as Tatum comes back in, he shits the bed. What is it though? What do you think it is with these 10-point performances? In the last series, he was on the road in Milwaukee. Okay, now he's at home, like in these winnable games where if he just plays, 70% of what he's capable of, we probably win easily. What do you think it is with this guy?
In the Bucks game, 100%, if he gives us 50% of Tatum, which I don't know what the stats would be, but 50% of what Tatum is, I think we win that Bucks game 3, right? However, in this game, it's weird to talk about. Yes, Celtics should have won at the end, but at the same time, we also shouldn't have won the game at all because Jimmy Butler didn't play the second half. If Butler played the second half, we probably lose by 20 points. The Cornet's playing in the fourth quarter. So that's being honest. But if we're saying everything happens except Tatum just plays 50% and Butler still gets hurt, then yeah, we win the game. I'm not going to say hands down, but I think we won a 5-point game.
Bobby, you said it. We should never be talking about a game where if Jimmy Butler goes down at half, we should be losing, bro. At home? Yeah. Come on. By like 6 points you lose by and Tatum only has 10, man. Come on.
I think I saw my guy, it was Celtics Everything. Shout out to Ryan, who's usually on the show every once in a while. And he made a post on IG saying it was like 7 minutes into the third quarter. Tatum's playing, Brown's playing, and there's no Jimmy Butler. And the lead was still 15. And it was a problem. Like, we could not scratch and claw. And I know we're probably going to get to it. But I think the thing about Tatum is he's aggressive to a fault, but he does not play smart. He gets one missed call where, again, it probably goes either way. If one ref's here, it's a different angle. Maybe it's a charge, maybe it's a block. Maybe hit him on the arm. Maybe it was just a finger foul. Who knows? But that missed call will get Tatum out of his game so easily. And I'm not questioning his mental toughness. I'm not Skip Bayless. But one thing I will say about him, he definitely gets out of character so quickly. And I think that's the thing that frustrates me the most watching Tatum is the complaining to the refs. He reminds you of Luka so much. Play style is pretty similar too. But they complain to referees so much that they lead their team. It's now a 5-on-4. Forget that. It's a 4-on-2 damn near because another guy's complaining. Grant Williams wants to complain too, like he's a star player. It's confusing me. I'm lost to it. But can we get to this really quick? I have said this multiple times. Tatum's bad games are role player numbers. If Peyton Pritchard gives you 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists, that's an amazing game for Peyton Pritchard. If our best player is doing that, we're going to lose every single time. I don't know why Tatum wants to have awful games and not subpar games with assists and some rebounds and not turn the ball over so crazy. I don't understand it.
Bobby, again, you are spot on. First off, as far as the complaining to the referees, it's to the point now where everyone is calling out. He's on a national stage in the ECF. I seen a column where Jalen Rose was calling them out. Stop crying to the damn referees and get back on defense, bro. Like, I'm not sure how many points he individually cost them, but they had 33 points off of turnovers. Like, stop it, man. Get back on defense. Not to mention he's an excellent defender, and he is the leader. That rubs off on the rest of them. And now you got Grant Williams whining as well. So you are spot on. Again, in preparation for this, I started just kind of looking back at some of the other stars or superstars throughout these playoffs and some of their worst games. Jimmy Butler's worst game in the playoffs basically has been like, he had a 15-point performance and then he had a 20-point performance. But in those games, he's not like Tatum where he's shooting so much. Those are games where his shots were down. Both games were wins. And like you said, he's still getting 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. Giannis, his worst game was a 24-point triple-double. Oh, by the way, Jimmy Butler has had several 40-point games. Tatum's only had 1. Giannis damn near averaged 40 points. He had like 4 or 5 just in our series. You say it all the time, Bobby. Superstars affect the game in multiple ways, even when they're scoring. And you can argue that Tatum lost us both of those game 3s. He only had 3 rebounds in this past one, 4 assists. He was 0 for 6 from 3. He was 1 for 7 for 3, and he had 6 turnovers. I think you stated he had more turnovers than any other stat. But we recently had a guest on, Bobby, Celtics Rye, who kind of went back at the other perspective, other side of it, stating at the end of the game you want your 5 best players on the floor regardless if your superstar is having a tough night. You take him off the floor, it makes it easier for the other team to guard you. Is this not common knowledge? And then, of course, you go back at her. And I just want to kind of get your thoughts on this. I mean, she's basically taking the side of you put Tatum in regardless. And you obviously, in which I do agree, kind of he should have stayed out just because of how much he affected the rhythm and because of his overall performance. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, and again, shout out to Ryan. Ryan's awesome on Twitter and obviously was really cool in our pregame show. I think that was game 2. But what she's saying, yes, is true. Obviously, you want your star player playing over, a Derek White or Peyton Pritchard or, I don't know, Sam Hauser. I don't know. You want those guys into the game and not the others. That makes perfect sense. But I didn't want to go back and forth because obviously I really like Ryan, but I don't want to also type characters on Twitter. I hate that. That's why I love talking. That's why I do YouTube. One thing I will say, we have seen times in history where coaches say, you know what? This player, this team is not working. Let's try something else. A perfect example that came to my mind, and this happened because of injury, which Tatum technically got hurt. But regardless, Game 3, 2017 ECF, Celtics are down 2-0 to the Cavaliers, who had LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. And yes, we were outmatched. We weren't good enough, and I understand that. This was the Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, Isaiah Thomas, Al Horford, and the amazing Jonas Jerebko Celtics. That amazing ECF team that won like 54 games anyway. In Game 3, IT hurt his hip, and actually in Game 2. In Game 3, he didn't play. Tell me why the Celtics played better without Isaiah Thomas. Remove the 30-point per game scorer, the 5th place MVP voter. Guess what? Didn't play in Game 3. It was the closest game. We lost Game 1 by 30, lost Game 2 by 25. We won Game 3 by an Avery Bradley game winner, and it was close the entire way. Is it because those were better without IT? No. But guess what? Sometimes taking a matchup off the floor and adding in someone else, like an Avery Bradley or Marcus Smart getting bigger minutes, you can play better. The Grizzlies were 25-5 without Ja.
I was just going to say that. Brilliant.
No one, and I had debates with this all the time on YouTube, no one believes deep down the Grizzlies can win a championship without Ja. No. But guess what? There's sometimes you take a defender, and Ja's not the greatest defender, you take him off, and you put Tyus Jones, who is a good defender, and you got a guy that's not going to pound the ball, and you spread the floor. It's going to be a better team for that one specific matchup. They beat the Warriors by 55 and then got their asses whooped the next game. It's just how it works. So, yes, there's been a lot of times in history where players don't have to be on the floor and your team still wins. Now, again, it's hindsight's 2020. We never know what would have happened, but I don't know.
I love it, man. You're making a lot of sense to me. So I'll ask you, and I'll also ask anyone and everyone, please let me know in the comments. If Jason Tatum does not enter that game and they were down whatever 93, 94, 92, 93, if he stays on the sideline with, it was I think 2 minutes and 22 seconds left, I think is when they got within 1 point. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if he stays on the sideline, do the Boston Celtics win Game 3 in your opinion?
It's tough. It's so tough because I mean you're saying, does Max Strus still hit the 3 in the wing? Does Marcus Smart turn the ball over now? So instead of Tatum having 3 turnovers on the 4th, is Smart getting another 3? Or is Brown more? Because Brown was hitting, to be fair, he was taking some bad shots, but he was just making them. He was hitting contested 3s, both ones to get within 3 and then to go within 1 were both bad shots, but he just made them. So he had it going. Does our offense move better with, I think Pritchard was playing, they took Pritchard out. It's a tough one, man. I think Pritchard hit these 3s. I'm going to say we win. Definitely. I mean, at the end, they just ran away with. What was the final score? Like we lost by 8 or 9. The
6,
final
yes,
score.
Sir.
Okay, the final score wasn't as telling how close the game was in the second half.
Correct.
But I'm going to say we win. Now, I'm not. Again, I don't like hindsight is 2020. We never know what if Tatum has a better 4th, or what if JB cooled off if Tatum isn't on the floor. What if our offense is stagnant because he's not hitting contested 3s? It's fair to say them all, but I'm going to say we win the game because we just don't turn up. The worst thing to do in offense in basketball is turn the ball over. You don't get a shot attempt. There's nothing else worse than not shooting because the point of the game is to put the ball in the hole. So it's tough.
I agree, and I'm with you. It's hard to Monday morning quarterback hindsight it. It's just when I think of how they were rolling, how they were on that 12-0 run, and just how basketball is also about rhythm and, and the fact that as soon as they throw him in, everything that they were doing changes. It's not about like what had just been working. Now it is get it to Tatum no matter what, even though his ass is 3 for 14 or whatever he was shooting for the night and had whatever turnovers at that point. And they force it to him, and then they start getting turnovers. And then, like you said, it starts to just get ugly. So I agree. I think that just the way the game was going and the fact that, like you said, that Strus in Bam shot, like 10 out of 10 times, I'd be curious how many times they could actually make it because those were difficult shots. But so were the Jalen ones, as you mentioned. So, we'll have to see, but this game, the turnovers, and a few other games, like I can think of like the Milwaukee Game 3 and the Game 5. I mean, just so many times in this playoffs where this team just looks like they are so much better of a team, but are still losing. If they really have won 10 out of 12 quarters, like everyone is saying, then I have to ask, Bobby, is this team not championship contenders yet? I mean, are they still a year away with, the 24-year-old Tatum and the 25-year-old Brown. I know everyone hates the age, but what does this team need to do? I mean, are the Boston Celtics a year away? Take the floor, Bobby.
I I guess we don't have draft picks. We don't really have much money. So if we're saying another year of experience with Tatum and Brown getting to the ECF will make us better. This is the thing. I think I talked to Giants about this morning. I see it all the time on YouTube comments, and I always try to reply when I see this debate of, well, Tatum and Brown are super young. LeBron didn't win until 28 years old. KD didn't win until about 27 years old. Jordan didn't win until about 27, 28 years old. These guys are only 24 and 23 or whatever the hell the ages are. They're so young. No point in breaking them up or saying they can't win when other players don't win till super, super late in their careers. Giannis won when he was 26. So that point is 100% fair. But I think the thing that people mess up on is a lot of those guys I named didn't have as much playoff experience as Tatum and Brown, especially Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. I saw a stat that I didn't even notice. Marcus Smart has never missed the playoffs. Not once in his career. Unless his first season, maybe he did. But he's on like an 9-year veteran, so he's made the playoffs 8 years in a row.
I was going to say, yeah, no.
Maybe in his rookie year, we were awful, and that was 2014, so it might have been the first year with Brad Stevens. I'm not positive. But we made the playoffs 8 years in a row with Marcus Smart. We've been at least an 8th seed in every year, and we had the play-in last year. But we were really, really good. I need the people to understand this. We can no longer use that young, inexperienced, they're 23 years old excuse. I feel like it is an excuse of people saying, Tatum's only 23, he's only going to get better. Okay, well, sure, you hope so. We've seen a lot of players that don't get better. Brandon Roy didn't get better, and he also got more injury prone. We've seen players stay the same. I think it's also fair to say that other teams are going to get better too. We've seen in 5 years ago, literally that was 2017. KD was on the Golden State Warriors. Now he's on the Brooklyn Nets. Giannis didn't know how to basically dribble. Now he's a 2-time MVP and a Finals MVP. We've seen so much happen within 2 years. Let alone, Russell Westbrook's been on like 8 teams in 5 years. It feels like. So the player movement in the league is so crazy. To say, oh well, next year's our year. We sound like Cowboy fans, and I hate that. We say we push it on to we're a year away, or okay, we lose that year. Okay, now we're a year away. Okay, we lose that year. Okay, next year it's finally our year. We're in a 2-1 series, and we have people in the comments saying, "Hey, it's done. We're over. We can't beat this damn team. We're better than them." We just, as you said, we've lost 2 quarters out of 8 2 quarters out of 12 in a 3-game series. My thoughts is, yes, we're clearly the better team, but we choose not to. Dumb turnovers, bad shots, and obviously not making the shots. And Ime does his adjustments and win the other quarters, but we're losing about 20 in those quarters that we lose. So it's just rough.
Wow. I tend to agree with everything you just said. Is this team a year away? To answer that, I would say no, because obviously they're right now knocking on the door. And like you said, eventually these years away run out of time, because what happens the closer we get? What about contracts? Like, what happens when their contracts come up? And then, like you said, the NBA is not the NFL. The shifting of power is just so, it happens yearly. What happens if Dame comes back next year and wants to get traded and then ends up on Philly and now it's another super team? Or if somehow, you just never know in the NBA, man, especially with like these big threes. It's just, who knows? And like you said, we don't have a draft pick. We have some TPEs and some, mid-levels, some vet minimums. Like, I have a feeling we're going to probably end up getting like a Pat Connaughton, maybe Patty Mills or Bryn Forbes, like those type of players. So vets that will help and move the needle some, but guys that shouldn't really be required to make the difference of us winning a championship now, especially as you stated with the core of these players of Tatum, Brown, Smart, even Horford and Tice have been to several ECFs together at some point, guys. Being the better team, having just as much experience, you have to break through. I go back to our man Sporting with the Ram. Tatum, if you want to sit at the damn table, now is the time. Now, game 4 in the Eastern Conference semis, after that dud where he scored 10 in game 3, he came back with a 30-piece masterpiece. That was where him and Al Horford balled out, and he closed it out. So hopefully he responds, in a big way tonight. But before we wrap, Bobby, again, pre-game show, tonight on Celtics Corner, we'll go into some more details on everything, talk about Bam's incredible night, talk about some more details from game 3 and what we expect from game 4. But before we finish up, Bobby, any final thoughts, any takeaways, anything you want to see moving forward or from Jason Tatum the rest of these playoffs?
Well, yeah, not spoiling my prediction for later tonight. I'd be very, very shocked if the Celtics don't win by double digits tonight. I think we really came out in game 2 and punched them in the mouth. I expect something similar on your home floor, getting booed off the floor. Not really at halftime, but it was like maybe 5 minutes left in the first half. We got booed. I don't expect us to lose tonight. If we lose tonight, the series is over. I don't think that's a shocker to anyone. You have to defend home court. You have to at least show some fight. We lost home court, then we won it back, then we lost it again, and now if we win tonight, it's the best of 3, and you'll take that. You got to win another game in Miami, whether it's game 5 or game 7. You'll take one. But I think again, I want to talk about this again later in our the pregame show. Expectations. I don't know what our expectations were coming to the season. I can't even remember them, but I think I said if we can get to the second round, I'd be happy. Well, we're past second round. But I think just because you're past expectations doesn't mean, okay, we can just stop here. It's not like we're playing the Golden State Warriors with KD or a healthy Kyrie, James Harden, KD, Brooklyn Nets. We're playing the Miami Heat, which we have the best player. I think Butler's better than Brown. I think he's shown that. But they're close at least. And we have the better roster. Hero's not playing tonight. They have old men going through old man injuries. Man, we should beat this team, go to the NBA Finals. I'm not saying beat the Warriors, but we should be in the NBA Finals this season. But I feel like a lot of people are going to be, what's the word I'm looking for, but very satisfied with an ECF appearance losing to the same team in 3 years. It's going to be pretty embarrassing. But people won't say that because they're going to be, you know what, green teamer, at least we got here. That's their thoughts. I don't know.
And I'm with you, man. I'm not going to be one of those people like me and you talked about it earlier. Of course, they've exceeded expectations, but they've also, now that they've played at this level, I'm not satisfied. We are knocking on the door. We have no excuses. You said it. There's not some super, stacked big 3, a LeBron James or a Golden State with KD in front of us. This is winnable. They can win this championship, even as tough as Golden State would be if they make it through Miami. We have gone through Brooklyn, KD and Kyrie. We went through the defending champs and Giannis. They should be able to win a championship and capitalize. Now, I'm not going into spoilers or anything as far as predictions. Definitely tune into Celtics Corner pregame show tonight, 7:45. Now, I will say the Celtics have not lost back-to-back games this playoffs. They haven't lost consecutive games since the month of, I think, first week of March or something along those lines. And like I said, I expect Jason Tatum to respond in a big, big way, because if not, you're down 3-1 and it's a wrap. That's basically it. You better start planning your vacation. But again, guys, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate everyone. If you are here, most likely you are already subscribed to Celtics Corner, but for whatever reason, if you're not, take your ass over there immediately. That is without question the best Celtics content on the internet, and it is no small part thanks to this man, B Smooth. Bobby, thank you so much, brother, for your time, and we appreciate you as always, sir.
Thanks, man, for having me, man. Appreciate it.
We will see everyone tonight on Celtics Corner, Game 4, ECF. Take care, guys.
Sir.